start again. There I go, turn the page. Up there in the spotlight, you're a million miles away. Every ounce of energy you try to give away as the sweat pours out your body like the music that you play every day. Later in the evening as you lie awake in bed with the echoes of the
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to On Air, the podcast. Glad everybody is here today. In the background, of course, you are hearing the brand new release of Mr. Stephen K. And, of course, the number one hit of Mr. Bob Seger, Turn the Page, being released today right here, of course, on the Pierce Media Group and On Air, the podcast. So happy to be here. And yes, indeed, I am here. Welcome, Facebook. Welcome, YouTube. This episode, of course, is brought to you by Hive Music at www.hivemusic.com for the best in music entertainment. Join Hive Music right here. So welcome to the show, everybody. Man, I am so excited. I am really excited to have this guy in studio today, Mr. Stephen K. Brand new single coming out. Mr. Stephen, how the heck are you, buddy?
You know, I'm doing great, Don. How about yourself?
Do you know what? I am doing fantastic in the mountains here of course, Canada. And you, my friend, are sitting in the nice place where I want to be in Texas. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, man. I'm sitting on the bus here in Texas. Going to have about a 90-degree day today. It's just beautiful.
Craziness right there. Just total. Is your day getting any better? Release day. Pretty exciting time for you.
Man, I'll tell you what. I hit the internet this morning. It went out on Spotify, went out on iTunes, went out on YouTube, went out on TikTok, went out on everything. Deezer. I mean, it's been nuts this morning, Don. It's literally, my phone's been going crazy all morning.
Yeah, and I didn't help by waking you up first thing in the morning saying, hey, don't forget our interview. But, you know, I left a message because you didn't answer the phone. So it's okay. We'll let you get away with it this time, but not next time. So let me talk to you about this new release, man. I gotta tell you, man. Turn the Page. What a song to, you know, endorsed by Mr. Seger himself. That must have been quite the thrill.
It is. It was thrilling. My producers handled all of that end of it. Adam Knight with AOK Records and production that did the actual production of the song itself at Omni Soundstage and the Family Room, two iconic studios in Nashville, Tennessee. And I got to work with the best of the best.
Man, I got to tell you, I got a chance this morning to look at the video that goes along with that song. Great video. Got to tell you, well done. Well done. Applaud whoever did that video. Timing, everything perfect. It was just incredible video. You know what? It couldn't have got done any better if Bob Seger himself did it.
Oh, man. I have been thrilled with this whole project, to tell you the truth. I'm still starstruck that I actually got to do this particular song, Don. It's been a dream of mine for a lot of years.
How hard was it to approach Seger's people and say, hey, can I do this song? Were you expecting them to say yes?
No, I wasn't, because what we had is my producers had asked me, hey, Stephen, if you could remake any song out there, any iconic song on the market, they said, which one would you do? And of course, myself, I said, Turn the Page. I've been a Bob Seger fan forever. And I've played that song literally thousands of times at my live shows over the years. So I said, Turn the Page. And they said, that is an absolutely perfect pick. So they got on the line and got the stuff from Bob Seger's people, their agents, and got us the license and approval so that I could remake my version of Turn the Page. And every time I hear it now, I can't believe it's actually mine and my version of that iconic song. It's
You know,
it's, it's crazy.
it is a great version of that song, and I got to tell you, Bob Seger is one of my favorites. So it would be pretty hard for me not to criticize something of one of my favorite artists in the world. And I got to tell you, I don't have a criticism for this song. And me being, obviously the most outspoken guy on country radio, if it was going to happen, it would come from me. And I got to tell you, I was shocked. It was not what I was expecting. You get a cover, and some of them, you know what I mean. Like they're
Oh
not good,
yeah.
and this is good. Like this is really good. And I heard that Bob Seger is pretty darn thrilled himself about it. That
That's what I'm being told by everybody when they got the quote from him. He was extremely excited on this song, and Bob's a very, very private person.
Yeah,
And
I was actually surprised that he came out and endorsed it the way he did, and actually sent you that little personal little tidbit there. And I got to tell you,
that's going to be fun.
it's amazing if you just ask what could happen in the world. Of course, Bob's kind of quiet lately, So bringing back a song like that is bringing back so many memories for so many people. So as them memories come back, can you remember the time when you first heard that song?
Oh, I absolutely can. So the very first time I heard that song was probably I was with my dad in his vehicle. It had to been about 1974 when 74, 75 when we heard that on the FM radio on my dad's old Blazer. And we were actually headed out hunting. And that song captured something in me that stayed with me all this time. It's a song that speaks volumes about artists that are actually out there touring and doing their things, and the troubles that you have when you're on the road and everything else. That is the ultimate road song.
Yeah,
And
it is the ultimate road song. Been the ultimate road song for since the '70s when it was released. That's number one. Is there something that you would have changed in that song in the original version, or is it just you just did it?
absolutely not. Bob Seger's original version of that song was absolutely perfect. From the saxophone intro on the beginning of it to the end of it. I mean, there's just nothing on that song, and there is nobody out there, I don't think, in the world that hasn't heard Turn the Page.
Yeah, it is pretty. It's a song that's very well known all over the place. Like when people write songs and they do covers, that it kind of relates to their life. Usually when they because it has some meaning to them. Do you find that this particular track has your life written all over it? Because we've had this conversation in private, off air, doing our thing, and you've become a good friend of mine over the last couple of months just by preparing for the show and the release and all this other stuff. And we've talked, pretty in depth about the song and what it means to you. And, if you don't mind, let's tell the fans here, like what this song actually means to, Stephen. Like, what is it about to you when you hear this song and the fact that you're watching this video come alive and you're doing a song of one of the most famous artists in the world. That must have been a tough gig to realize and put the two lives together and make that video
I'm
what it
still
was.
trying to realize that right now as we're talking about it, Don. But what this song means to me is the last 2.5 years, my wife Carolyn and I have been on tour all over the United States. We went out during the peak of COVID, and everybody told us we were crazy. They said there's no music being played anywhere. So we decided, you know what? We're just going to pack up and we're going to sell out. We're going to hit the road. And in, what was it, January of 2021, when COVID was just going crazy, we we hit the road with our new truck, and at that time, the new pull behind RV, and it was crazy. We were racing snowstorms to get out of Oregon to get down south. And I still remember when we pulled into Texas that first time, and we stopped at a little truck stop to fuel up because we were headed to southeast Texas down into the Silsbee, Sealy, Houston area. And we walked into that truck stop, and there was not one mask on one person. And we were like, wow, what is going on here? Because Oregon was completely locked down. The morning when COVID hit, I lost 128 shows that morning. And we get to Texas, and they're playing music live. All the clubs are open. Everybody's playing music. Everybody's dancing. And we're like, wow, what is going on? So we played shows there in Texas, and then got into Tennessee and went to downtown Nashville. There was 150,000 people partying on the streets in downtown Nashville. So over the last 2.5 years, all the miles that we've put on, and all the lessons that we've learned, and all the stuff we've done on tour, Turn the Page has a whole new meaning to me.
You know, when you're going out, when you decided to do that and just give up everything, just going on tour, you know, you're in the middle of COVID, everything's shut down. What the hell made you decide to go out on tour in the middle of a pandemic when everything's shut down?
Because there was no music to be played on the West Coast. The entire West Coast was shut down, and I know over in Canada, everything was shut down tight there as well.
Oh, it was crazy here. It was absolutely
nothing.
crazy.
There was no clubs open. There was nothing, and I needed to play music. That's what I do. That's my job, and that's my only job.
You know, like, speaking of that, you know, there's cost to touring. Like, how do you afford to be able to do that during a pandemic and just to say, hey, we're going out and that's what we're doing? Like, your wife must have thought you were crazy.
Actually, she was the one that wholeheartedly supported this. You know, it has cost us a lot of money, and it's been our own personal money that's been spent on this tour.
Yeah, because you're not really, you're signed now. You're signed to a label, kind of a service label that helps you along the way. Yeah. But it's not like one of these great big record labels that just come in and say, "Here's a check for $1 million. Let's you know, do some music." People don't realize that's a loan, by the way, folks. It's do you find that there's no need for a big label anymore with the way the streaming services are and the service labels popping up now and stuff like that? Do you really need to be with the big boys?
You know, as long as you have a great team behind you, like the Pierce Media Group, like Big Records, like all of that, and fantastic producers like Adam Knight from AOK Records and Production, if you've got a great team behind you and they're supporting you and they're helping you along, then you can accomplish those great things on your own. And we're living proof of that.
Yeah, like last year, how many days of the year did you tour?
365.
Pretty much. Like, you're on the road all the time. Like, and this is a full-time job for you. It's not a weekend gig. It's nothing. And, you know, we did talk about costs, about how much it really cost you to tour. And, you know, it didn't surprise me what it cost you because, you know, as you know, Pierce Media Group has a touring company that we tour with guys just like you. And thank you for joining our Pierce Media Group touring company. Thank you very much for that. It has brought some, you know, it is a great pleasure to have you aboard. And I'm going to, you know, tell everybody we got a great tour coming up in Texas in February, and you are the headliner of this tour. And we're bringing a lot of independent artists to Texas and saying, hello, here we are. And welcome to the Pierce Media Group and welcome to Stephen K Music. Like, here we go.
Exactly.
I'm excited. I got to tell you, I'm really, really excited for this tour to start. Getting in the planning stages with you is pretty exciting. You know,
it's nuts.
Yeah, like, you know, we're going to be starting our tour at 3rd and Lindsay in Nashville, Tennessee. One of the You know what? You couldn't get a better venue to start a tour than at Third and Lindsay in Nashville. You
That
know,
is, oh man, I'll tell you what. Third and Lindsley is one of the most iconic venues in Nashville, and to be able to get in there, I'm gonna plug Nolan Murray's name here. Nolan did a lot of work. I mean, and he's continuing to do a lot of work to get that set up.
yeah, you
And
know what?
so,
Nolan Murray, everybody, one of the best instrumentalists in country music, has recently become a great friend of mine. His talent is unbeknownst to anybody, and man, can that guy play a fiddle? Where there is no better. I cannot. There is no better, and. Yeah, he's helping us quite a bit with some pretty big names in music that are helping us along. Got some great special guests at Third and Lindsay. Not going to let it out here today. I'm not. I was going to, but you know what? Why should I? Let a little
that's
suspense.
gonna be a huge surprise once we release all of that out. People are gonna go, "Oh man,
Do you know
the,
it is an honor to be able to work with some of these guys in Nashville that we work with, like Kirk Ryle and your people and your team, and you know the people that put these videos together for you. I got to tell you, dude, you did a number here. Like what a video! There is no second best there.
the people I got to work with on Turn the Page, Don, I'm starstruck every time I walk into a studio. I never thought in a million years that one day I'd always dreamed that I'd be able to do it, and I always hoped, and it was always on my bucket list to get into record in studios like Sony, Nashville, Omni Soundstage, Hilltop, the Family Room. Those are places that George Strait, Reba McEntire, Alan Jackson, Johnny Cash, George Jones, the Beatles, Elvis, all of these guys, they record there. I was just Stephen K. And I never thought that I would fit into that. And then all of a sudden, here I am. I have a great production crew, a great team, great producers, a wonderful wife that backs me on everything, wonderful friends. And all of a sudden, I'm stepping in to these studios and working with people like Blake Masters, the keyboardist and pianist for Garth Brooks, Reba McEntire's band, back in my songs. Members and members of people like Gary Talent from from Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band, um, George Strait's Ace and the Whole Band. I've gotten to work with all of these people. I've
Yeah,
had Vince
you're
Gill,
kind of humbling yourself here a little bit. You know, like it's not like Stephen K is not sitting at that level of country music where you know when you walk into these venues and these studios they don't know who you are either, so you're kind of being a little humble here, and I appreciate that. But you know what, people don't understand that you've been in this business a long time. You were
42 years.
Yeah, it's been a, you know, and people don't realize that how much work it took you to become a full-time artist to get to
Because you
them
know,
to
it's
get to
so
that
hard for
level.
me to realize that I'm able to do I'm able to do this kind of stuff, and that I'm able to walk into these studios. It still amazes me every time I get to do it. But yeah, we've pushed very, very hard and worked very, very hard, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to get to the level that we're at now, to be able to say, yeah, I can make a phone call to Omni Soundstage and book a session with all the greatest musicians in Nashville and
Yeah, you
have
know,
them on my album, on my songs, and everything else. We've worked really hard to get there, and don't get me wrong, I am very, very, very proud. But one piece of advice that was always given to me, and Tim McGraw wrote a song about it, and this advice was given to me a long time ago, to always stay humble and stay kind to everybody. And Tim actually wrote a song about it, which says it all. You just stay
he
humble and kind,
kind
and
of.
you give as much as you take, and the good things will always come to you.
How do you think your career's changed since you kind of did the whole Nashville, you know, bucket list and ended up in Nashville playing the clubs and doing the stuff that you did? Because you know Nashville's not your home. It just seems to be where you hang out enough.
I'm having some little technical difficulties here, Don.
Yeah.
I can't quite hear you.
You're cutting out. Yes, you are. I don't understand it, but can you hear me yet? Hello.
Let me see what's going on.
Yeah, I've kind of lost it.
Are you there, Don?
I'm here. Are you there? I don't know. Kind of lost them.
My mic is on, but I'm having trouble hearing you here.
I don't get it. What's going on here? But anyway, I guess that's the end of that. I've kind of can't hear him. He's kind of blurring out here. Anyway, folks, I guess that'll be the end of that for today. We will bring Stephen back here. I'm really sorry about the technical difficulties, folks, but yeah. Hey, what we do, we're just going to put this old video on and see if we can't fix the technical difficulties while the video is playing. This is, of course, the debut release of Turn the Page right here on Air, the podcast.
All along Lonesome Highway, east of Omaha, you can listen to the engine moaning out its one-note song. You can think about the woman or the girl you knew the night before. Your thoughts will soon be wandering where they always do when you're riding 16 hours and there's nothing left to do. You don't feel much like riding, just wish the trip was through. Well, here I am on the road again. There I am up on the stage. Well, here I go, playing the star again. There I go, turn the page. You walk into a restaurant, strung out from the cold. You can feel the eyes upon you as you're shaking off the cold. Pretend it doesn't bother you, but you just want to explode. Sometimes you can hear them talk, other times you can't. It's the same old cliche. Is it woman, is it man? You always feel outnumbered, but you don't dare make a stand. Well, here I am on the road again. There I am up on the stage. Well, here I go, playing the star again. There I go, turn the page. Up there in the spotlight, you're a million miles away. Every ounce of energy try to give away as the sweat pours out your body like the music that you play every day. Later in the evening as you lie awake in bed with the echoes of the amplifiers ringing in your head, smoke the day's last cigarette, remembering what she said. What did she say? Well, here I am on the road again. There I am, up on the stage. Well, here I go, playing the star again. There I go, turn the page. Well, here I am, on the road again. There I am, up on the stage. Well, here I go, playing the star again. There I am, there I go.
Mr. Stephen K, of course, brand new video, Turn the Page. Let's get him back in here. See if we've got these technical difficulties done. Are we back, Steve?
We are back, Don. I'm right here with you.
There you go. Welcome to the internet and technical difficulties. What a great video, man. What a great
Thank
video.
you so much.
Incredibly done. You know, I got to tell you, it is an honor to be able to be the first one to play that video and live, not Memorex. And it is now out on every platform, is it not?
It is. So you can get onto YouTube, Vivo, whatever. You can stream that music video. You can get on and stream and download and buy the music on iTunes, on Deezer, Spotify, everything. You can get on to my website at www.stephenkmusic.com, and you can get onto the links there and get right onto the music. I mean, it's out there and live everywhere.
Where can they find you in your next gig, buddy?
What was that?
Where's your next gig?
Oh, actually, it will be over in Houston in towards the end of the month.
Oh, perfect. And of
And
course,
we'll have that information up on the website here real soon.
yeah, and of course, you are doing other things. Of course, the tour coming up in February of Texas. You've got a North Carolina tour this November, starting in Nashville. Of course, what's the start date in Nashville? The 7th. You'll be in Nashville.
The start date is November 7th.
So
Nashville, Tennessee, 3rd and Lindsley.
3rd and Lindsay, you will be with the Rise Up TV crew in there. And of course, Hive Music, having a great time, putting on a show. You're going to have some other artists tag along with you, I hear.
Absolutely. There's going to be quite a few artists. You know, you've got Nolan Murray is one of them. I can't say enough about Nolan. Nolan's a fantastic musician. The Outsiders are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're actually going to do all the backing for the artists on this. So they're going to be doing the instrumentals, all of that. So
Wow.
we got royalty on this one. This is going to be
royalty. I'm talking to Nashville royalty right as we speak, and you're so humble about the whole thing. You got some stuff happening in Nashville. We won't talk about it because that's going to be the next big surprise.
there's a lot of stuff coming up, which is just kind of crazy. So there's a lot of great information coming up, a lot of exciting news, a lot of things that we'll be able to share in the very near future. But right now we are on tour in Texas right now.
Well,
So
what a place to be, like I'm so jealous of you half the time. It's just incredibly crazy that, and I'll tell the folks here on who's listening, you call me sometimes at night and and the breeze is in the back and the palm trees. God, I'm jealous sometimes of what your lifestyle is. But you know what? It is a lot of hard work. What you do is a tough gig to be on the road all the time and, just not saying hello. How is it on your family?
it can be kind of tough. If you watch the music video, that music video that we did was modeled after my life on the road. So there will be a part there where you see me sitting at the table looking at a text message from my daughter asking me, when's the next time I'm going to get to see you? and how long are you going to be gone, and things like that. And that's real life. When you're a touring artist, a lot of times you miss a lot of the big things, birthdays, holidays, all of that stuff. You're there on video chat and stuff as often as you can, but it's not the same.
Yeah, it never is the same. I was on the road quite a bit in my lifetime, and it is a hard life. It is to be on the do, but at least you're doing something that you love.
Oh man, I would. There's nothing I'd rather be doing. I
Well,
mean,
365 days on the road is pretty tough gig to do. Like what is the cost? Like, are you having like times struggling with the cost of fuel and everything else that's going on? Because you don't just travel in your local neighborhood, you're traveling right across the country.
we are, and we're like I said, we started out with a truck with a pull behind trailer, and then we went to a new larger trailer with another truck, a diesel pickup, and now we've graduated to the tour bus, and feeding the bus is a whole lot more difficult when you're on the road, and that's all costs that come out of our pocket right now. We're starting to bring sponsors, and sponsors are offering their help now, which is really nice
Yeah,
because the costs are huge.
how tough is it getting sponsors for the music business, like to support these tours and to do the things that you
Oh
want to do?
man, I'll tell you what, if until you build your name and you start getting out there and doing your thing, and they're seeing that you're out there playing, it's next to impossible. And we're just now starting to get some of those really good sponsors. We've had some that have been with us from the get-go, and they've been wonderful, but now we're starting to pick up more sponsors, which is really nice.
After all these years, though, like why big records and why a record label after doing it by yourself for so long?
You know, that's actually a really good question. And the answer I would give on that is, once you get to a certain point, doing everything yourself is impossible.
Yeah,
The
it's kind of why you,
booking,
you you sign with Pierce Media to do your promotions and all that stuff. Is that part of it? Is that part of the cost that you're just going to have to swallow because you just said the key word. You just don't have time to do it all. And how important is getting your stuff out on social media?
oh man, getting out there on social media, whether it be Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, is huge, because that's where everybody sees you. They see you on the road. They see your posts. They see your music videos. They see everything in it. If you don't have a fantastic marketing team like Pierce Media Group and Don himself, then you're just kind of lost in the shuffle. And that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, is it a tough gig though to kind of get your vibes with your record label and your vibes with us? Like we talk a lot, so like we know where you're going here, and my team knows where you want to be. But is that hard to get across to people in today's world? Like, no, I don't want to play the pop country. Do you have to though, like to keep your career going?
You know, you've got to keep up with current music trends. That's what we did with Turn the Page. We took it from the past to the present, and what we did is, my vision of the song was taking Waylon Jennings and Bon Jovi and combining those two together and coming up with a country version of Turn the Page, and that's exactly what we did.
It did, and it really you did a great job of it. I can tell you that. Like, did you find it tough doing the video? Like, all of a sudden becoming from stage performer to actor, and like just like that, it was just turn on, turn off. And did you find that difficult?
I did, because what you've got is, it's take after take after take, Don. I mean, it's in the scene, out of the scene, reset the scene over and over and over again. That little bedroom scene we did, I did that 27 different times in the heat and humidity. The fight scene that you see in that, we recorded that better than 60 different times to get that just right. I
Do you
mean,
find it different now that
it's
though
just crazy what they do.
in your past videos, and is it different now that you're with a top-notch videographer and the production team behind it?
It is because they have the capabilities and the technology and the equipment to be able to capture all of the essence of a song when they're doing it. It's the old adage is you get what you pay for. And that is absolutely true with recording your music, with recording a video, all of that. You get what you pay for.
Well, with all the
And
streaming services and stuff we got going on here, Stephen, is it important to tour? Is it important to make these videos and, do the old style of music, like and getting that out there like the old timers did, pushing their videos, and a long time country music didn't have country music television and videos and all this stuff, and them are the days where you started in your music career. Like, so how much has it really changed with Spotify and Apple and Amazon? Is it necessary to still keep that same pathway as they did in the past? Is it
oh,
neat?
absolutely. If you're not out there touring, yeah, maybe they'll see your TikToks, they'll see your music video on YouTube or Vivo or on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. But being out there and touring and building real fans and having them at your show, you've got to do that, or trust me, you will get forgotten really quickly if you're not out there playing shows, if you're not out there playing music. They'll forget about you really, really quickly.
Yeah, and is it better, to have these streaming services? Are you for them or against them? When I ask every artist that, some are for, some are against, some feel ripped off. 2 million views to get a couple of bucks. Like, how do you feel about that?
The streaming platforms they're important because it gets your music out to a wider audience. But if you're truly wanting to make money in the music business, you make money on the road. It's not just the shows you play, it's the merchandise you sell, it's all of that. It's the image and brand that you build of yourself. So yeah, the streaming platforms and stuff are very, very important because they get you out to a wide audience real quick. But I don't recommend that anybody relies solely on just that because there's nothing like people come out to a show because they want to hear it live. They want to see you on stage. They want to know what you do. They want to be able to touch and feel and smell what you're doing.
Yeah, and
And
that I've never heard it quite put that way, but yeah, that is about true. Yeah, it is funny though. Like the music seems to be slowing down. Touring seems to be slowing down since the pandemic. People are slowly getting back into it. Do you think people are starting to rely too much on these streaming services? Because we all know we got some famous TikTokers, famous Facebookers, YouTubers that are artists. Like Luke Combs, perfect example, famous on YouTube before it became famous in the world. So, do you think it's good to, show up on air the podcast and stuff like that, doing these little shows? Obviously we're not ET tonight or something like that, but we do have a pretty good following. And do you find it important to do these shows to get out to your fans, even though it just doesn't seem to go anywhere? Like, as we've talked about it, there is a lot of different, well, let's say, avenues for artists these days, but they're not always the best to be on. Like, does some of these shows actually hurt what you're doing?
they can if you're not on the right podcast, you're not on the right live stream, it can actually hurt your numbers because not a lot of people see them. So you've got to be careful. Like being on here with Pierce Media Group is a wonderful thing because it gets the name and the brand out there, and more people are going to see it. But yeah, it some of them can hurt you, and it's all in your preference on what you want to achieve in your music career and how far you want to go. So you've got to be very, very careful on what you pick and choose to do.
What do you feel is the right time just to move forward in your career and do what you did. Like, to give up what you did. You gave up your house, you gave up everything, your life, and dedicated to music. That must have been a tough decision to make. To give that security away. To be able to say, you know what, I'm tired, I've had enough, let's go home. Now home is behind the gig. So, like, how do you adjust to that lifestyle?
It's really, really tough because you go from living in a large area to living in miniature real quick. You leave behind things that you've become accustomed to having around you all the time when you're going out to hit the road. And everything becomes smaller. Your space, your area, your world becomes that bus and that lifestyle. And it's hard to adjust to at first, but once you get going, man, there is nothing like it.
Yeah,
But there
like,
is an adjustment period.
when I was on tour with Rise Up and doing the things that I do, I got to tell you, it's a different lifestyle, and it takes a little getting used to. Sleeping at 90 miles an hour is not the best thing. I've seen though, and I've noticed every time we've talked, you've kind of went the other route. You got the tour bus, you got the career, but you drive the darn thing yourself. It's like you don't see too many artists doing that. It's like, why did you decide to? Was a cost thing, or you just don't trust drivers, or is just something you just said, the hell with it, I'll do it myself?
You know what? It's one of those things where I just said, the heck with it, I'll do it myself, because it's not just our tour bus, it's our home as well. And it's something that we take a lot of pride in being able to own and being able to have. And I do have somebody that can drive bus for me. He happens to be a really, really great friend of mine. His name's Steve Sexton, and his wife Pat. Wonderful people, and he's offered to drive for me more times than you know.
Yeah, you know what? I do notice that you do you do have a lot of entourage around you sometimes. Do you find that important? To be able to have your friends on the road? And I noticed that you do have some people that you've known that the other night you showed up at your parking spot, and lo and behold, there's a couple that you've known, and you got to have some drinks and a fire and be normal for a while. Do you miss that? Just being Steven?
You do. Um, at times you'll look back and you'll think, man, I miss the old days where I'm with my first band, and we're playing that gig that we played at in our hometown 1,000 different times, and we know everybody and they love us. But then when you get on the road and you do a gig out on the road at a big venue, and all of a sudden you've got a whole bunch of people there that are screaming your name and loving your music and loving what you do, then it makes you appreciate a whole lot more the advances and the steps that you take to get to where you're at in the music business, where I'm at now. And I tell everybody over and over and over again, and this holds true, I couldn't do anything that I do without Carolyn. Carolyn is my backup and my rock on everything that I do.
What is it, your turn to cook or something tonight there? You're kind of kissing up pretty good there.
You know what?
It's got to be tough
I
on
love
her
to
too.
cook.
It's got to be tough on her. Like that. She's doing things that most wives wouldn't do. I can tell you that. My wife, there is no way after almost 40 years together that, as much as we've been together and we work together, we're here together in the office all the time. It's like, no, I'm not going on tour with you. I am not going to live in a bus with you. It's bad enough that I got to look at your face in the office every day. So it's, is it tough on Carolyn? It's got to be.
It is tough on Carolyn. But I'll tell you what, she gets up every single day ready to push and ready to roll. When
Yeah,
we've got a show coming up somewhere, she was the first one to say, you know what, let's do this. Let's go on the road. Let's build this. And she does that every single day,
yeah, she's
without
amazing.
fail.
She's amazing on, I've talked to both of you, over the tour and stuff like that. And we are planning together as the Pierce Media Group. And I got to tell you, she is an incredible organized woman. I have never that book you guys got with all the venues. You know, I could just turn my camera. I won't do it because you'll see the mess of my other side of the office. But I've got paper stacked up, and I'm old school. Okay, these little boxes that we're looking at right now, I got to have a paper copy of everything. I do, because I don't. If I lose it in the computer, I want a copy of it. But that girl,
Absolutely.
holy crap, is she organized? That binder you pulled out, and this is Texas. And I'm thinking that's a pretty big book. Like, how long did it take you guys to compile that list of, them venues that actually pay? Because we've had that talk too. An artist can't work for free.
That's been 3 years running developing that particular list, and that's just one of them. We've got books for Arizona. We've got books for Tennessee. We've got um, layout lists of every festival and every major concert across the U.S.
Mm.
Montana, Oregon, California, New Mexico, Arizona, wherever you want to go, we've got the contacts for that.
Favorite state to perform in?
Oh, our favorite state? We're sitting in it right now. We
Texas.
love we love Texas. The we've been treated like family in every town in Texas that we've been to. Every venue we've played, they became friends and family. They're not just venue owners, they're now friends of ours.
Yeah, and I seen
So
that. I following you on Facebook, and I'm following your trip to Texas. You left Nashville, did your video shoots, did all your Nashville stuff there. But it's great because you're documenting your trip and you're sharing it with the people. When did you start that? Because like, is that important to share that part of your life with your fans, like the real Stephen K, not the guy that's glamour and glitz on the stage. And you have the lights and all the stuff and all the fancy crap that goes on with being an artist. But is it tough to be able to do that?
it,
Just to
it
step back
is.
and share your inside life. You share your professional life. How hard is it for Carolyn and yourself to be there in the spotlight? Because you're the spotlight, and now Carolyn's in the spotlight, with this, me mentioning her name's probably not helping, but out there on Facebook sharing your life. Is that a tough thing for her too?
It's something that we really enjoy because we started documenting stuff like that from the get-go. We go out and we have a nice meal at a place, and we're someplace that a lot of people don't get to go to. We document that and share it. Like when we were out on the ranch up here in Texas the other day with a couple of other good friends of ours that actually run the Twisted Horns Ridge up there. They're the managers for two wonderful people. And we get to share all of that with everyone because we want everybody to experience what we're experiencing firsthand, whether we're doing a live video of it or we're sharing pictures of it. Because it's important for people to see it's not all just music. There's life in there as well that goes in between. And
Where
we
do you
love it.
find the time though for privacy? Because you're a pretty popular artist out there on the road, and like,
It's
I have a hard time dealing with that whole end of this business that we're in, this entertainment business, is the lack of privacy sometimes. Like, it amazes me. You show up in a little town, and me being the radio podcast guy, I'm not Stephen K. That's for sure, but people recognize you. Did you have a hard time getting used to that?
yes, and I still do have a hard time with it. Um, Here's a little story I'll share with you, and Carolyn loves this. We're at a little joint down in Houston, and it was a what was the kind of music? It was a Zydeco bar in Houston, Texas. I love Zydeco music from Louisiana and stuff like that. And we're sitting there in a little Zydeco bar, and we're watching a band, and they're just tearing it up. They've got a great crowd there. They're all into it, and all of a sudden we're sitting there, and the little gal next to Carolyn, she says, "You guys look familiar. Do you come in here a lot?" And Carolyn says, "Well, we've been in here before, not a lot." she says, "You look so familiar." She says, "Are you from here in Houston?" And Carolyn says, "No, we're on tour." And her eyes perked up, and she says, "You're on tour?" She says, "Who you on tour with?" And I stood up and I introduced myself. I said, "Hello, my name's Stephen K." And she goes, "Oh my God, it's Stephen K." And she's jumping around in there. She says, "I know your songs down that old dirt road." She says, "I can't believe you're here." And then the autographs started.
Oh yeah. Do you have a hard time with that? Because that the first time I was ever asked for, the famous signature, I kind of was taken back for a minute, and I feel sorry for the poor lady because she thought I was kind of rude, because I kind of giggled and did my thing. But do you find hard doing that when people walk up and say, "Hey, you're Stephen K. Can I have your autograph?"
I do. We've had it all over the United States now, and it's hard to get used to, because before all the touring, before all that, I was just Stephen K, the local artist that everybody loved in our Oregon area, in our region. And now I can walk into Corpus Christi in any venue over there and they know who I am. I can go to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and walk into one of the moonshine distilleries over there, and they know Carolyn and I by name. They know us around town. So it's it's interesting being able to experience that and have people know who you are. That was on my bucket list too. I always wanted to be a household name, and now we're doing that, and people recognize the music and they love it.
Yeah, when
And
you first called me out of the blue, um, mutual friend gave you my number, and I was actually shocked when I picked up the phone and it was you. And it was like, I was more shocked that you knew who I was, let alone, picked up the phone and actually called me. Um, but it's really brought brought us together in a lot of ways. We're so much alike in a lot of
oh,
ways,
absolutely.
and we share a lot of laughs on video chat here, and thank God for that because people think that when we talk, we've been friends forever, and quite frankly, I've never met you or shook your hand. It's all been video conference.
But you're part of our family.
Yeah, you know
So,
what? You're part of mine too, and we have some good times on the phone.
oh,
But
absolutely.
I'm
We're
going to
going to
tell
have
you
some
though,
good
if you don't
times in
stop,
person before long.
if you don't stop calling me in the middle of the night with your margarita in your hand, saying wishing you were here, I might get a little upset.
Well, here one of these days soon, you're going to be.
Yeah, man, I can't wait for this Nashville tour. I cannot wait. I think it's been 2 years, maybe, yeah, 2 years since I've been on tour because of the operation and the surgery and the recovery time. But I can't wait to get back on tour with Rise Up and Tim Stanrock. What a guy he is! Holy crap, what a guy! You've met Tim, Tim
Oh yeah,
Stanrock.
Tim is amazing, man. That guy is a legend himself.
You know what? He is a legend in the rock world, and it's part of the job that we do. We get to meet these people, but Tim's just a regular Joe. He's a guy that you do not want to go into a restaurant with because everybody recognizes him. You cannot miss that big beard. He's a great artist. The Mighty One is the band, folks. If you don't know who Tim Stanrock is, what a great
You
band.
need to check him out. Tim
Oh,
Steinrock and his band, The Mighty One. They are awesome.
I'll
There's
tell you
no
what,
doubt
man.
about it.
You want to talk about rockers, man? Like they are. I just don't know how people don't know them. Like they've been with some of the biggest names in rock and roll. They've worked with some of the biggest, Paul Stanley and Kiss and all them other guys. But is it? I don't know. Maybe it's because they're Canadian. I don't know. But it's just who's what in there. What do you got planned for 24 besides the Texas tour? I got to get rid of you here. We're
Oh man,
pushing it.
we're going to be doing Texas. We're going to be doing Florida. We're going to be doing um, Arizona. We're going to be all over the place in 24, and we're going to be taking Pierce Media Group and all these people with us wherever we go.
It is.
I'd like
And
to
I'm
do
so
something.
happy,
I'd like
man.
to have a different perspective shared, if you don't mind, for just a minute, Don.
I don't mind anything because you're the star. I'm just a little guy here, man.
Put her down for a second, sweetie. We're on the floor. I'd like to have my wife Carolyn, who is my right hand person in my rock on this, give you a little perspective from her angle as well.
You know what? That's wonderful because I was going to
You're
ask
gonna
that.
have to hold it close so you can hear it.
Hey, girl, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. You know, we've talked a couple of times. You know, how do you actually like this life on the road?
Pardon us, the sound is real bad on this end. I actually love it now. In the beginning, there was trials and tribulations.
Yeah, I bet. You're putting up with him,
But
living in the same area.
yeah,
You can't
I
even get
wouldn't.
rid of him. You can't even get rid of him, right? You're stuck with him 24/7.
Yeah, but we love it. We see so many different places, and we can, share those things, and it's just been a wonderful learning experience, and watching Stephen grow. We've come so far from when we left Oregon. It's just
Well, I've
it's
kind of
it's
looked
very
into his career.
exciting.
I've looked into Stephen, and of course, followed his career for a while, and I got to tell you, it is a great success story, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And he's very lucky to have you in his corner. I can tell you that because you do a lot of work for him, and it's the social media stuff and all that crap that you have to do to make that a success. And is it remarkable to have a good woman beside him?
Thank
It
you.
is. It is. Yeah, I'm kissing ass because I got to keep him on my team too. So I got, and we all know the wife is the boss, right, Stephen?
Yes, here.
She is absolutely the boss, and she is so humble.
Yeah, you know what? And she's probably going to kill you as soon as you get off this feed for doing that. But
you know what? People need to see the other face behind this as well. It's not just me doing this, Don. If you don't have a great support system and you're on the road, you've already set yourself up for failure because you have nobody to rely on. You have nobody to fall back to when you're going through a lot of the things that we did those early times.
Yeah, it is tough. It's tough on my family too, and because let's face it, when you're in the business we do, it does affect your family, in many ways, and sometimes I want to get out. Do you ever feel that? That
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's at the point where you love what you do, but there's a time where you just want to say, I need my space. And I get my space, because I can go someplace to a major city and, if they haven't watched my show, I'm pretty safe. But you, for instance, don't have that luxury. It's your face is all over the place. Everybody knows who you are. Like you can't even go into a corner store without an hour's conversation. Like it just must be somewhat a hassle to just stop and get fuel some days.
It is. It, like I said, it takes a lot of getting used to, and I guess the trials that you'll go through as a new artist hitting the road are going to be some of your toughest times, but they'll also be some of your most fulfilling times because that's when you're going to learn all the lessons, because there's no instruction manual, there's no book that tells you how to make it in the music business. Nobody's going to come out and hand it to you. You've got to work and work and work and pull and climb and get to know people, because in the music business there's an old saying, it's who you know. That's not the same in the music business. In the music business, it's who knows you. And you've got to make yourself known to them.
In the music business, there's everybody, trying to take it away from you too. So it's a tough business, man. And you've really rose into the occasion and really brought the music to us. Do you find it important to stick to some of your roots though? I notice you're still kind of sticking to the Stephen K roots, even though you do, you hit up the Morgan Wallens and of course the Tim McGraws and all that stuff when you do their covers. How important it is you though to be Stephen K?
It's very important. You've got to keep your identity because when you're building your brand, you're building who you are. When you go out there, you can't try to be George Strait. You can't try to be Alan Jackson. You can't try to be those people because you're you, and that's who everybody's going to love when they meet you and they listen to your music. So it's important to stick to your roots and everything. My song "Down That Old Dirt Road" was written completely about my life. I wrote that song. That's my life to a T.
How
And
important is songwriting to you? Like, is
oh,
songwriting a big part of what you do? Because let's face it, there's artists out there that's never written a song in their life. They depend on the Kurt Riles and of course the Stephen Kays and the Tim Stanrooks and the Sarah Smiths to write their songs. Geez, I didn't realize I knew that many people that were that famous. It was like, but they're great songwriters. And like, do you find it important to actually put pen to paper?
absolutely. Songwriting is extremely important to me because every song that I write, I put a piece of my soul and a piece of my heart goes into that song. There's always a piece of me on that paper that's going in there. And when it goes out and you sing your song, I remember the first time that I sang one of my songs to a crowd of people. And I knew how it made me feel when I wrote it and I recorded it and got it ready. But when I actually performed that song in front of a large crowd of people and they had the same reaction that I was feeling because they could understand what the lyrics meant and everything else, it just blew me away. So yeah, there's no shortcut for it. Yeah, you can have some songwriters to write you some great songs out there and definitely do. But take the time to write your song as well. Write your songs and put your life into it because the songs that are written for you, those aren't your personality. Those are songs that are written and people want you to record them because they want to hear them out there and going. The songs you write and record and release, that's your life, that's your personality, and that's what people will get to know.
Favorite
And
artist?
that's why Turn the Page was so important to me, Don,
Oh, that's going to be good.
is because it gave me a chance to I didn't write the song, Bob Seger did, but I've actually lived that song. So when I recorded it and I did the music video, I got to put my heart and my soul into that version of that song.
True. Very true. It's a great song, man. Like it's just the video. I'm going to play the video at the end of the show again, so the folks that are just joining us can do that and see the video. And what a great song. But Stephen, thank you very much for joining us here today on air. I've kept you so much for. I'll try and keep it to 20 minutes, Stephen. I know you're busy, but
You know what? I've enjoyed the heck out of this, Don.
it's
This
just
has been a lot of fun.
it's not that we don't ever do this before. Hey, you got a quick second, and 3 hours later, we're getting off the phone because our wives are complaining. Talk worse than old women. But what a great song! Congratulations on the new release.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations
It's greatly
on
appreciated.
congratulations on the new tour coming up, and of course everything you got going on here in November. Great Memorial Day tour coming up in, of course, the Carolinas, from Atlanta all the way through down to Myrtle Beach into Nashville. Of course, everything brought to you by, of course, the Pierce Media Group, Big Records, Rise Up TV. Geez, I got that one good, eh? I'm getting good at this, getting good too much at this. And of course, this episode is brought to you by Hive Music, www.hivemusic.com. It's for the artists. So go check it out and get your free membership today. So we got that all through. Man, it was great having you here. Folks, we're going to close off the segment here with the brand new single. Can't even get it out today. Single from Mr. Stephen K. It is great to have you here. Hope to see you soon, buddy. When are you coming to Canada to tour?
Just as soon as we get set up, Don, we'll get over there to Canada and see you guys soon and do some touring in Canada. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I am so excited to see you in Nashville and to go out on tour with you. I cannot wait for that day and to meet your wife and to actually see who the real boss is in that organization. But Stephen, thank you for joining us here on Air the Podcast. Folks,
thank you for having me.
Next on the On Air the Podcast will be, the one and only band Chamberlain will be in here having a great conversation about their career and the way it is skyrocketing through the roof and the big changes they're having. So welcome and thank you to the Pierce Media Group for providing us all these great services. We'll see Steven again, of course, in the future. He is going to be with us more than once, I will tell you that. Steven, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time, and we'll see you next time on Air the Podcast.
Along lonesome highway east of Omaha, you can listen to the engine moaning out its one-note song. You can think about the woman or the girl you knew the night before. Your thoughts will soon be wandering where they always do when you're riding 16 hours and there's nothing left to do. You don't feel much like riding, just wish the trip was through. Well, here I am on the road again. There I am up on the stage. Well, here I go, playing the star again. There I go, turn the page. You walk into a restaurant, strung out from the cold. You can feel the eyes upon you as you're shaking off the cold. Pretend it doesn't bother you, but you just want to explode. Sometimes you can hear them talk, other times you can't. It's the same old cliche. Is it woman, is it man? You always feel outnumbered, but you don't dare make a stand.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, here I am on the road again. There I am up on the stage. Well, here I go, playing the star again. There I go, turn the page. Up there in the spotlight, you're a million miles away. Every ounce of energy try to give away as the sweat pours out your body like the music that you play every day. Later in the evening as you lie awake in bed with the echoes of the amplifiers ringing in your head, smoke the day's last cigarette, remembering what she said. What did she say? Well, here I am on the road again. There I am up on the stage. Well, here I go, playing the star again. There I go,